China is rolling out a major revision to its foreign trade law amid an evolving domestic trade landscape and a more complex international environment. The revised law took effect on March 1, 2026. Since its introduction in 1994 and a major revision in 2004, China's foreign trade law has played a key role in maintaining order in foreign trade, promoting trade development, and supporting the country's opening up. To help us better understand the changes made in the new revision and what it means for China's role in global trade, we are joined today by Professor Qingjiang, Dean of the Academy for Foreign-Related Rule of Law at China University of Political Science and Law. Professor Kong also participated in the expert consultations for this revision. Professor Kong, thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
So first of all, could you briefly outline the key highlights of the latest revision of the foreign trade law? And compared to the previous version, what are the biggest changes?
The foreign trade law, which was enacted in 1994, was revised after quite a few years of deliberation. The revision was a result of the legislative effort to fully implement the major decisions of the party regarding high-level opening up and balancing security and development. The highlights of the revision to foreign trade law can be summarized as follows. Firstly, it enhanced the legislative purpose to safeguard national sovereignty, security, and development interests, and to serve national economic and social development, and promote the construction of a strong trading nation. Secondly, it institutionalized major reforms, particularly regarding an activist approach for cross-border services trade and alignment with high standard international rules. In this regard, the revision also institutionalized the trade policy compliance practice into legal provision. For the first time, the law requires governments at all levels to conduct compliance assessments when formulating trade-related policies, ensuring alignment with high standard international rules. Thirdly, the law requires active participation in rulemaking. It mandates China to take the initiative in participating in the formulation of high standard international economic trade rules. Fourthly, it legalized digital trade and green trade, thus making the foreign trade law more relevant to the global trend and adding momentum to China's booming digital trade and green trade. Fifthly, for the purpose of safeguarding national security and development, the revision improved the legal toolkit for countermeasures against foreign sanctions and unilateral trade restrictions. By enhancing countermeasure capabilities, the law supplements and improves corresponding countermeasures against foreign individuals and organizations that endanger China's sovereignty, security, and development interests. In the meantime, the revision optimized the provision on legal liabilities, adjusting penalty. In a word, this revision represents a significant upgrade to China's legal framework for foreign trade, solidify its commitment to high-level opening up, while strengthening its ability to manage risk and safeguard national interests in the complex global trade landscape.
Amid the restructuring of the global trade rules and rising trade frictions, the revised law talks about proactively aligning with high-standard international trade rules and economic rules and taking part in making them. So does this suggest that China is moving from mainly following the existing rules to playing a more active role in shaping them?
First of all, it should be pointed out that China is a model country that follows international rules. In general, China has been in the process of aligning itself with international rules since the opening up policy was introduced decades ago. Particularly after its accession to the WTO, it has become a strict follower of the international trade rules centered around the WTO agreements. Since around the 18th Party Congress, in its drive to high-level opening up, it applied for membership of the DIPA and the CPTPP. In this context, it even launched the process of unilateral opening up. Secondly, it must be noted that international trade rules centered around the WTO rules per se need to be restructured as the WTO itself has been dragged into a crisis by the prevailing protectionism and unilateralism, and as the new technology is having a sweeping effect on the mode of trade, the international community is facing a restructuring of the current international trade rules in order to make them more relevant, more instrumental to the development of trade. Thirdly, as a major trading nation, China has a stake and a special responsibility in the reshaping of new international trade rules. That is why the revised law requires active participation in international trade rule making. As China contributes its wisdom to the process of shaping international rules, it will certainly have its institutional impact on the emerging trade rules and even the future world trading system.
So you have just mentioned that reform measures in areas such as digital trade, grain trade, and trading services have been written into the law. So why was it important to include these emerging areas into the foreign trade law?
Services trade, digital trade, and green trade have become the new engines of global economic growth and are reshaping the international trade architecture. For example, with the technology development, global digital trade has grown much faster than traditional trade in goods and services. China is a leader in digital technology, and the digital trade is an area that the country enjoys a comparative advantage over most countries. China's digital trade ranks among the world's top in terms of volume, including service trade, and the digital trade in China's foreign trade law was a strategic necessity driven by global trends and the ambition to maintain its competitiveness. In the context of fighting climate change, more and more countries have moved to act, and the green trade has become an imperative. Including green trade and foreign trade law was not only a technical upgrade, but a comprehensive strategic move to position China in the forefront of global trade transformation. The previous foreign trade law lacked explicit provision for these emerging areas. The revision ensures that China's legal framework keeps pace with technological innovation, environmental imperatives, and evolving international rules, while empowering Chinese enterprises to thrive in the service trade, digital trade, and the green trade.
Yeah, so you also mentioned that the revised law has put a stronger emphasis on national sovereignty, security, and development interests. So under this legal framework, how should we understand the relationship between opening up and safeguarding national security?
Indeed, the revised foreign trade law places a strong emphasis on safeguarding national sovereignty, security, and development interests. Two reasons that give rise to the necessity of safeguarding national security. One is, as the law encourages high-level opening up, the country will be exposed to more risks of various kinds. Secondly, China has already become the major targets of unilateralism and protectionism. All these require safeguarding sovereignty and national security. As a result, the revised law prevents weaponization of trade rules against China and reserves policy space for China to respond to external sanctions. In the face of supply chain restructuring, for example, the laws require strengthening national resilience against supply chain disruptions. All these will help safeguard sovereignty and national security in uncertain times, particularly in the era of rising unilateralism and protectionism. In this regard, it should be pointed out the revision is not only to safeguard security, but to promote development. Therefore, the law on the one side highlights the safeguarding security. On the other, it expands market access by embracing the negativist approach for cross-border trade and services and high standard international trade rules. For example, with constant shrinking of the negative list over the coming years and having more high standard rules in place, Market access for services will be significantly expanded. All these are expected to optimize resource allocation and promote development. The rationale why the revised law adopts such an approach is clear. That is, openness without security is reckless. Security without openness is futile. Put another way, the revised law treats national security not only as a prerequisite, but as an enabler for opening up and a high-quality development, including digital trade and a green trade example. In summary, the revised foreign trade law represents a mature approach to international economic integration, one that rejects both blind opening and isolational security.
The revised law also calls for enriching the legal toolkit for addressing the external trade challenges and improving our countermeasures. So how will the provisions help China better respond to those trade challenges, unilateral measures, or the extraterritorial application of foreign laws?
In order to address external trade and legal challenges, we need to have adequate toolkit that works. We already have anti-foreign sanction law, measures on preventing the improper extraterritorial application of foreign laws and measures, and the provision of the unreliable entity list. They have already played an important role, but they are often used as countermeasures. One has difficulty applying them as preemptive measures. They are inadequate to address the newly emerging external trade and legal challenges to some extent. That is why the revised foreign trade law requires to upgrade the toolkit.
As China moves from a major trading nation to a strong trading nation, what role will the law play in this transition? And looking forward, as the law is put into practice, what should international businesses and observers pay attention to particularly?
The newly revised foreign trade law is expected to facilitate China's transition from a major trading nation to a strong trading nation by laying down the legal foundation. The revised law centers on institutional opening and is oriented toward balancing security and development. It not only consolidates the achievements of reforms in China's foreign trade sector, but also addresses new demands arising from the development of foreign trade in the new era. Furthermore, it aligns with the latest trend in international high-standard economic trade rules. As a fundamental law governing trade, its implementation will profoundly shape the landscape of China's foreign trade, providing a robust legal guarantee for advancing high-level opening up, addressing international trade risks and challenges, and achieving high-quality development in foreign trade. In a word, it will help build China into a trade powerhouse. Against this background, international business and observers should see China as a land of opportunity. By abiding by the rules, international businesses will be able to have more business opportunity in China and develop together with China.
Thank you so much, Professor Kong, for your insights today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.